We have achieved a small...
Shut up. No, we haven't. Get off. Get
Fine.
off.
That lets me have any fun.
Honestly. Right, okay, so it's been a little while since my last vent and my painkillers are still doing nothing, so I'm going to get a little bit more off my chest. And today, I've got a follow-up for the Brunei video that you all must remember so fondly. You see, that was actually the first video that I got hate comments on. Yeah. I mean, obviously I reported them. If I'd have known that reporting them also deleted them, I'd have actually just left them there and pinned them, because it was just basically the usual, bollocks. Someone had just put, "We are not scared of you." I wasn't trying to make anyone scared. And the other one was, "LGBT go to hell," or something like that. And it depends which text you read. I mean, if you're a Pastafarian, then we don't. So it's all kind of down to interpretation. But yeah, isn't that one of the signs that you're making it big when you start to get hate comments on your videos? I mean, probably not, but, I want to believe it is. Yes, this is a follow-up to that video because there's been a little bit more on the subject. There has been some slightly major news, which is why the other me thought that we'd had a small victory, but I'll get to that later. First off, in the meantime, between they're bringing them in and now, there has been some major international backlash for them. There have been celebrities calling for boycotts on their hotels. There have been normal people calling for boycotts on their hotels, and various other things that'll hit them, both in the pocket and in the image, which I'm gonna be honest, kind of took a little bit of a hit when they said that they were going to be bringing in Sharia law, because I'm sorry, Western world image, I should specify, of Sharia law is that it might be a little excessive. Doesn't matter what my opinions are on it for that point. Much of the Western world sees it as a little, maybe going a little bit overboard. But then we had their foreign ministry, or whatever it is they have equivalent, coming on and clarifying a little bit for us. Apparently, we'd misperceived what it was all about. You see, the laws are based on deterrent, education, nurturing and rehabilitation, rather than punishment. So the harsh punishments, well, they're not really relevant because it's not about the punishment. It's about rehabilitation. And I suppose if you have been stoned to death, you're far less likely to do whatever it was you did again. And, again, education. It's about education. They are teaching people that being gay is something that they should be killed for. They're not actually there to kill them for it, although, kind of in the law. They're there to educate them that it's just something they deserve. So it's okay. We just misinterpreted what they meant. And of course, one of the biggest misinterpretations that we've made on this whole thing is that because they brought in the punishment of stoning to death for homosexual activity, along with a few other things, we obviously believed that they were maybe criminalising based on someone's sexual orientation or same-sex relations. No. Apparently, Sharia law doesn't criminalise based on same-sex relations or sexual orientation. So it's okay, even though you are at risk of being killed for taking part in any sort of homosexual activity. Well, men are, for women it's 40 lashes and up to 10 years in prison. Even though you are being or facing punishment by law for taking part in these activities, you're not being criminalised for them. You're not a criminal, you're just being punished by law. So again, that is something else we just, in the Western world, and particularly the LGBT community, that's just something that we misunderstood about it. They're not criminalising based on sexual orientation, they're just punishing them by law. So I personally am so glad that we've had that cleared up, because again, I was worried that because they were talking about murdering people for taking part in homosexual activity, it wasn't about the punishment, it was about rehabilitation. And again, as I say, if you've killed someone for it, there is a very, very low percentage chance of reoffending. And even then, it's not because they're a criminal, they're just being punished by law. Another thing they did have to come on and clarify, which I will admit did help, is that the evidence standards for these not crimes would be very, very high. It would take either a confession or two men of high piety and moral standing would have to bear witness to this not a crime. And again, it's obviously not a crime because it's not criminalising based on sexual orientation. So they would have to bear witness to this not a crime. And that these men themselves would have to meet very high standards, so convictions would actually be very rare. Very rare. It would be very rare that someone would be stoned to death for being gay. Once is too much, dickholes! Sorry, I think I may have got a little high-strung on that bit. But yes, there we go. It would take a confession or two men of high moral standing and piety to bear witness to this not a crime for any conviction to even be reached. And of course, we know that nobody ever gives a confession for something they didn't do. There is no reason why anyone would confess to something that was going to get them murdered. Again, still refusing to call it an execution. It's a murder. I mean, executions are generally not a cruel way of doing things. Stoning to death, kind of a little bit cruel. Just saying. But yes, nobody would ever confess to that. Even if they were being beaten daily and deprived of food and sleep, why would anyone ever confess to something that was going to get them stoned to death? And when it comes to witnesses, well, obviously we all know how difficult witnesses are to buy. I mean, fine, sorry, slip of the tongue there. Yes, we all know how witnesses of high moral standing and piety are just impossible to buy. Sorry, fine, I've done it again. Oh, silly me. So yes, convictions would be very, very rare, very unlikely. Did I mention that if someone is killed for being gay just once, anywhere, it's too much? May have brought it up at some point, never mind. So yes, that's the misunderstandings on the subject cleared up. So it's okay. We can stop boycotting the hotels. We can stop making videos like this. Because it was our fault that we misunderstood that they were threatening the LGBT community of Brunei with death. One thing I will say though, and this is where we get to what Other Me thought of as the small victory, is that they've kind of taken a step back on it. Yeah. They have extended a moratorium to block the death penalty. Penalty? Yes, death penalty. Because why not at this point? I really wish my painkillers would start working. For gay sex. You know what? Yeah, if you partake in the act of man-on-man love now, you do not have to worry that you're going to be stoned to death for now. I mean, a moratorium is, by very definition, temporary. So yes. For now, you don't have to worry that you are going to be stoned to death for taking part in gay sex. Well, not by the government anyway. I mean, obviously there's a possibility, a slight chance that certain members of the public might take it on themselves to enact a little bit of vigilante justice. But hey, you don't have to worry about the government doing it. No. All you have to worry from the government now is 40 lashes and up to 10 years in jail, so don't worry about it. Just go ahead and get it on with whoever you want now. But this is the lesson. Out when the eyes of a progressive world, a world that is marching forward in terms of civil rights and rights for the LGBT community, for disabled communities, for everyone getting the right to be human and not have to fear death just for being gay. When the eyes of that whole world is on you, you can't get away with pulling shit like this. You can't get away with persecuting an aspect of your community who have done nothing wrong simply for being who they are. It doesn't matter if you are one of the most oil-rich countries in the world. If you bring in something like that, which will destroy your public image, it doesn't matter how rich you are, your country is going to suffer. And I don't mean that as a threat. That's, obviously you have to be careful what you say with that sort of thing now, but your country and your people are going to end up suffering because of what you've done. So yeah, that's it done for this one. We have a small not victory for the LGBT community in Brunei, and I am now going to go and take some extra painkillers and watch some pastel-coloured ponies to try and take my mind off the searing pain going down my spine right now. Cheers!